Welcome to Portsmouth Raceway Park in Portsmouth, Ohio. It's the 33rd stop on the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series Tour, and there's $20,000 on the line. The best of the business are fighting for a championship, and Dave Argerbright, it's going to happen here at a special place.
Portsmouth Raceway Park is one of the most unique venues we visit here with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. This place is all about survival. To begin, the setting. This place is located in a river bottom. The Ohio River literally just yards off the first and second turn there. Every spring, this river floods and it puts this infield, this track, and most of these buildings under 10 feet of water. They got to wait for the river to go down before they can go racing, but they've always prevailed, and that's really what this weekend is all about. This River Days Festival, $20,000 to win race, celebrates the 20th anniversary of Portsmouth Raceway Park. So hats off to Portsmouth and all the people here. Always great to come here with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series.
Fans have packed the house here for the Canada Late Model Nationals presented by K&N. 75 laps on tap here this evening. $20,000 up for grabs here at Portsmouth Raceway Park in the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. Ken Stout, Rob Clever calling the action for you. We'll also get help from Dave Argerbright and Kelly Snyder along the way to keep up with all the action on the grounds. It's been a vicious battle for the championship, but really the battle for second place has been a little tighter. Scott Bloomquist kind of checked out early in the season and has continued to finish in the top 5, certainly the top 10 on a regular basis throughout the rest of the year. Take a look at the points here, courtesy of MagnaFlow Exhaust.
Yeah, so far this year, 21 wins between Bloomquist, Owens, and Earl Pearson Jr., the 4-time champion. The top 3 right now are really the only guys that have a shot to win this deal.
Pretty impressive out of those top 3, to say the least, and we've mentioned it a few times. It was not that way a year ago when Scott Bloomquist did not get his first win to the end of the season. Let's talk about this place, Rob. It is a very unique venue, as we heard Dave Argerbright speaking of before.
Yeah, just east of Cincinnati, Ohio, right there on the Ohio River, and every spring it pretty much floods. They know it's going to flood. They set up for the flood. They wait for the water to run off the racetrack, and then they go racing. So it's pretty much something that they deal with every single year. 2
tough competitors there. Don O'Neill, fresh off a win at the Bluegrass Classic, and Dale McDowell just winning at Lawrenceburg. But we're going to shift gears and talk about our pole sitter. He is a young man, and at the age of 14 years old, Dave Argerbright, he's done a great job here tonight.
Thanks, Ken. 14-year-old Tyler Reddick in his very best starting position ever with the Lucas Oil Late Model Series on the pole. Tyler, a lot of pressure for the pole setter. The field's going to depend on you for the start. What's your strategy for this 75-lap race?
Well, I think the strategy is going to be to get the lead easy and hold the spot and not work my tires over. I think we got the right tires on. Looked at McDowell's, we got the same tires, so I think we'll fire the same, but I never know. We might have missed the setup, but I think we'll be in a good spot.
Indeed, all eyes on the 14-year-old phenom from California. And now let's join our colleague in the pit area tonight, Kelly Snyder.
Thanks, Dave. Scott, I know we spoke a lot earlier about the rough and dusty track conditions here at Portsmouth. You said that the only place you wanted to start was up front. You're here in the second row. Does that make it a little easier on the 75?
Yeah, you know, it does. You know, the racetrack's bled back, and the bottom in this end is quite rough. I think this is probably as wet as I've seen it here for a feature to begin. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes going during this feature. So, you know, I'm glad to be up front. You know, there's going to be some guys hitting holes and their cars darting around, and possibly quite a few accidents, and that's why we chose the tires we did. We should be good right off the bat, and I think the racetrack will stay here for us.
What do you think about starting behind the 14-year-old rookie of Tyler Reddick?
Yeah, he came by. I talked to him a little bit, you know, and I told him just whatever lane you pick, stay in it. You know, just we you know, don't go in low and run up high and then chop back to the bottom. And it's a long race, you know. Just set a pace and you know, hopefully he'll be smooth enough that we'll get by him soon.
Well, our current points leader is looking for another win this season. Guys?
And Kelly, if he could pick up that win, it would be his 7th. Of course, he's tied all-time right now with 24 with Earl Pearson Jr. So both those guys have been stout all season long.
Well, Josh McGuire had a great run. Once again, he was quick time here of the group, and Dave Argerbright's with him.
Thanks, Ken. From the outset of this weekend, Josh McGuire looked great. Brand new race car, fast time, was leading in his heat, but for a little bit of bad luck, had to race his way through the beat. Josh, you go from starting on the front row to starting deep in the field. How did it change your outlook and your strategy for this race?
Well, you know, that's what we were sitting over in the trailer, so we were trying to figure out which tire combination to make. So we decided, since we're starting in the back, we're going for the win and shoot through up there as quick as possible. So if we get there at halfway and you see me pitting, you know I made the wrong decision.
Needless to say, a crowd favorite here. The young man has a lot of talent, a very bright future against all these stars out here. And of course, his father also close by. Had the pleasure of racing my son for the past 5 years. He's had a lot of success as well. And I will tell you, there is no better feeling than that. He is a proud papa, and rightfully so. That kid's going to go places. We'll see how he does here at the start of the Canada Late Model Nationals, presented by K&N, when we come back. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is brought to you by Canada, all natural pet foods. K&N, the world's best air filter. And by Rockstar Energy Drink. Party like a rock star. Welcome back once again to Portsmouth Raceway Park for the Canada Late Model Nationals, presented by K&N. 4 wide, and that's the parade lap. I wouldn't rule that out in the race either, but you know, interestingly enough, as we heard from Scott Bloomquist a little bit earlier, they're expecting this to be a pretty rough race.
Well, a lot of tracks that we visit with this series are slick and smooth, a little bit rough. It's going to be exciting for the fans as well, and a little bit different for these race drivers.
Let's take a look at our K&N starting lineup. On the pole, the young man, Tyler Reddick, alongside Dale McDowell.
Row 2 on the inside, your current point leader, Scott Bloomquist, and Don O'Neill coming off his second win of the year.
Row 3, it'll be the 11G of Billy Goulian and Josh Bocook.
Row 4 on the inside, Doug Drown from Worcester, Ohio, and the driver that finished 6th here last year, Bart Hartman.
Row 5 will be Kevin Wagner on the inside and Eric Wells, the 18E.
We move back to row number 6, the Intimigator, Chris Wall, and the 41N of Brad Dean.
Jimmy Owens, second of the points, back in row 7 alongside R.J. Conley.
Rookie of the Year contender Tim Eisenberg on the inside of row number 8 alongside the Tar Heel Tiger, Ray Cook.
Then there's Josh McGuire with that brand new Masters built in row 9 and Eddie Carrier Jr.
Mike Marlar on the inside in the 36 of row number 10 alongside former Rookie of the Year John Blankenship.
Back to row 11, we find the wild man, Dan Schliever, alongside John Mason.
Row number 12, the 4-time champion, currently third in the points, Earl Pearson Jr. and Steve Casebolt from Richmond, Indiana in the C9. And rounding out your field, Kenny Christie in the C7 inside of row number 13, a multi-time PRP champion.
Well, as they come back around here, Tyler Reddick has to be feeling a few butterflies inside of that stomach. Sitting alongside Dale McDowell, he leads this very impressive field to the start-finish. We're hoping for the best for the young man. I'm sure he'll do fine. Holding the field nicely, stands on the throttle, turns it in, and here we go. Beautiful job for Tyler Reddick so far. Takes over the early lead from the 17M of Dale McDowell, followed by the 71 car, Don O'Neill, sliding it down underneath him.
Yeah, nice move for O'Neill. They were off turn 4 to take over that second spot. Bloomquist into 4th after starting inside of row number 2 in 3rd, as here comes Don O'Neill putting some pressure on the California kid who is looking for his first career Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series win. Here comes the real deal.
And it is hard to lead. I mean, especially with no more experience than Tyler has. He's done a great job, needless to say, as we already have our first caution. Doug Drown up there by the wall. But the kid really did a great job, maintained his composure, and led that field around there. It'll get easier for him now the rest of the race. He's got the hardest part of it over with.
Don't know the issue on the 12 car is obviously under power. It looks like all 4 wheels and tires are up.
He is going to pull it into the pits, though. This will give us an opportunity to get you up to speed on our heat races and our B mains that, of course, were contested earlier this weekend and today.
We started off last night here for the richest race in Portsmouth Raceway Park's history. Heat race number 1 of 4, 10 laps in distance. Top 4 would move on to the big show. You see the 44 of Earl Pearson Jr. and then the 11 that is Tyler Reddick as they battle for 3rd spot. Give it to EPJ.
And a lot of contact here. Ben Adkins had checked up Earl Pearson Jr., had no place to go, collected Jimmy Owens along with it. It was melee. Don't know what happened to the 7 car as he broke, but EPJ up into the wall, and unfortunately nobody had any place to hide.
Yeah, we see the 17C of Chris Wilson also into the wall in the front straightaway. Very hard, a lot of damage, but it was Tyler Reddick picking up his 2nd heat race win of 2010. Of course, that would put him on the pole for tonight's 75-lapper. Gullion would finish 2nd, Kevin Wagner and Jimmy Owens in that 4th and final transfer.
36 car, Mike Marley got a great run, drove down underneath the ground, and then everything he could do to keep from running into the back of Chris Wall, had to check back up, lost a couple of spots. It was Scott Bloomquist that crossed the stripe first, though, followed by Drown, then Chris Wall and Tim Eisenberg at that 4th and final transfer position.
Another stacked heat race. In heat race number 3, we saw Case Bolt Carrier, Eddie Carrier Jr. there in the 28, loses a left rear, and check this out, folks, as he comes to a stop. The C9 of Steve Case Bolt, nowhere to go, collects the tire. We'll look at it one more time. And a very scary moment for the Richmond, Indiana drivers. That tire got into the top part of the race car. Eddie Carrier again stopped with no left rear. But when it was all said and done in heat race number 3, Dale McDowell picked up his 5th heat race win of the year. Bo Cook, Wells, and RJ Conley round out your top 4 transfers.
And then our 4th and final heat race. Again, the 71 car, the real deal. Don O'Neill has had such a great season so far. In the hunt for it, Brad Neat, Bart Hartman back out here flying the 75 colors and doing a solid job of it as well. They would chase the 71 car around. O'Neill would pick up the win. Hartman, Neat, and Cook rounded out the top 4.
2 12-lap B mains with the top 3 moving on to the A main here tonight. The 75 lappers. The checker flag came out into B main number 1. It was quick qualifier. Josh McGuire getting the win. Mike Mahler finished 2nd, and Dan Schleeper rounds out your top 3 moving on to the show.
And our 2nd and final B main would find Eddie Carrier Jr. back with all 4 wheels this time. Unfortunately for the number 1 car of Adi Schwartz, he would spin out. He would come back and miss a transfer by 1 spot. Then the 41 car of Kevin Lane would have his fair share of problems and put on a show in the process. When it was all said and done, Eddie Carrier Jr. would pick up the win, followed by John Blankenship and John Mason. Note the provisionals. 2 of the best in the business, including the 4-time champ Earl Pearson Jr. and the 2nd provisional went to Steve Casebolt. All right, restart here in the A main. Tyler Reddick, the 14-year-old phenom, as Dave Argerbright referred to him a little bit earlier, leads them back around the start. Great restart for Tyler.
Yeah, gets a nice run there off turn 2. Kind of slides up a little bit. Don O'Neill able to close in the 71. There is Dale McDowell again, winner last Friday night at Lawrenceburg Speedway in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Yeah, picking up his first win of the season. Scott Bloomquist using the top shelf right now to try and drive around a few people. Looks like it might be a little slick up there yet.
Oh, and now trouble. The left front comes right off the 0 car as he heads into turn 3. Wow.
Major suspension damage there. Looks like it just snapped right off at the spindle.
And you don't see that too often. I mean, that thing, and it went right over the hood of the race car. I mean, it could have got into the race car very easily, and so Scott's lucky there. He's going to head back in the pits. If there's not a lot of damage on it, as you take a look at the wheel and tire, they might be able to put a new one on and be okay. I guess at this point, you can hope that the lug nuts came loose, which would allow it to be fixed, and that's not the case.
They won't be bolting a new one on there. Stay with us. We'll be back with more action from the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series.